everybody. My name is Jenny with Senior Perspective. Before we go on, let me say, please like and subscribe, because I never say that, and I should say that. Because if this channel takes off, I'll just keep doing these videos. But if it doesn't, I have other things to do. Although I hope it takes off, because I need friends in sister wife community, because no family or friends watch sister wives that I know of. All right, so I'm continuing on with this podcast interview that Kody did with a podcast called Mormonism Live, so you can go check it out online, listen to the full 2-hour episode. And I've moved on to the next question that they have, and it's just going to be one question here today because
here we go again.
I've gone ahead and done a few of the recordings so that you can hear and in one spot watch a little bit of what Kody has to say. Actually, the video one is probably not going to get posted today, but you can at least listen to it rather than listening to me struggle through the Although when I read it, you realize how ridiculous his speech is. He has this way of kind of glossing it over and making it seem like it's more normal speech when he says it. I'm saying he's a charming man, which is why he's gotten away with as much as he has his life. So let's go ahead and listen to them ask him about, and he starts to answer the question, but they ask him about living 14 years of plural marriage on TV, and did the presence of the cameras ever cause, like any disruption in their family? I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but I'm going to go ahead and play the audio clip here so you can listen to the question and then listen to Kody's answer too. Notice at the beginning, he basically kind of throws the producers under the bus. He has a good way of not taking responsibility or blame for anything. All right, here we go.
Kody, you've been living all this out for, I think, 14 years now in public with you, your family, your wives, your children. Is there anything that's happened with your relationships with any of your family that has been caused or exacerbated, you think, by the presence of the film crew that might otherwise not have been so bad?
I wouldn't say the presence. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with our producer. And he has a great talent for antagonizing me, almost like a brother, And we had years where we were just deeply loyal to each other, but we would fight like family members. And there was the effect of that because he was under pressure. He was under a lot of pressure. And as a result, that pressure would roll down onto me. And so he'd be like, I need your family to do this. I need your family to do that. And I was like, this isn't scripted. My family's just going to do whatever we want. So those were challenging experiences. But in the long run, the real issue was that we were having an experience. Let's say me and a wife would have an experience, or even me and one of my kids would have an experience that's being filmed, and then we'd have to talk about it later, and then we'd have to talk about it again, and then again. And then it'd be used as either potentially a rerun or a flashback or something like that. And something that you would probably forget was said and that happened was in your face 4 or 5 times and put it into your memory. And as a result, led to possibly some challenges. And so in the end, there's been a lot that has happened, and some of it has been successful and some of it has been very, very sad. And I lay the blame, I don't want to go down this road. The wise man, the fool blames everybody else. The wise man blames himself. And the stoic says there's nothing to blame. It just is what happened. Mm. And I want to be stoic, but there's a lot of blame to be laid at my own feet about what has happened. And I think it's just a natural course of events. And where I thought we were doing so much benefit for plural marriage, we may have, in the end, done harm.
Okay, so a little bit of analysis. He does start to answer the question about the cameras. Well, actually, he doesn't even start to answer the question. Let's be honest. Kody is being asked, what about the cameras in your life? And he goes on to talk about a producer who he has a love-hate relationship with and who kept trying to get him to do things and said, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do this. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I wasn't there. This family, watching Sister Wives is watching paint dry, but I'm fascinated by it. So they had a good thing. Maybe he's talking about the first couple seasons. I'm not sure. But Kody claims that he says, no way, that none of this is scripted. And it's not scripted. I'm sure they didn't say these words. I'm sure they were saying, we need to set up this situation, we need to set up that situation. And that clearly is happening. So for him to say, no, that's not it, this is completely unscripted. No. All those forced interactions of Robin sitting with Mary outside talking are situations where the producers said, get together and discuss this. And they did. They were not naturally going to go outside and sit in the ice cold with the snow on the ground and discuss things. That wasn't going to happen. They may have picked up the phone, but this interaction, this is what the producers want. And this is what they do. So it bothers me a little bit that Kody gets on his high horse there in his answer to make it seem like, no, I'm in charge. Because he did even say at the very end, I was like, this isn't scripted. My family's going to do whatever we want. End quote. Yeah. Okay.
Sure you are.
Yeah. The stuff that you want to do is great because it makes for great television. I mean, TLC cannot script the craziness of this family, honestly. And some of the things that come out of Kody's mouth. Obviously, TNC didn't script. They couldn't script it as good as the stuff that he says, to be honest with you. But I just found it interesting that he had to take the opportunity to throw the producers under the bus, and I wonder if they're still the same producers that have been there this entire season, and how this gentleman feels about what Kody said about him.
You're dead to me!
So again, the question is, the cameras in your life, have they affected you? So I'm guessing by his little story and throwing the producer under the bus, he's saying no because they're just there. I mean, he didn't answer that question. And then he goes on to talk about experiences that they have to relive. So I guess that kind of answers the question. He sort of says, well, because we have to replay it back to comment on it when we do our little interview sessions, that affects us because you have to relive things that normally people don't have to relive. They just put it on a shelf and walk away. If you're like most American families and not really have to work through it, but now they have to work through it. And this is a family that doesn't work through anything. So the show, I think, is probably the best thing that's ever happened to them, to be able to see themselves and see what each other's saying and doing, and then eventually work through it. It took years to get there, but now they're at the point, also with a lot of therapy, where they're working through a lot of their issues, which is great. So after he says that brought some challenges to have those interviews played back, he said, in the end, there's been a lot of that's happened. And some of it has been successful, and some of it has been very, very sad. I don't know what that has to do with the cameras. I don't think that answered the question at all. I think he's just doing Kody speak again. And then I kind of got confused. When he said, I lay the blame, and then starts to laugh. Sorry, I don't want to go down this road. And he says, the wise man, the fool blames everyone else. The wise man blames himself, and the stoic, and then he pauses and looks up and says there's nothing to blame. It's just what happened. And I want to be stoic, but there's a lot of blame to be laid at my own feet about what has happened. And I think it's just the natural course of events. Let me just say, kudos to Kody for saying that there's blame to be laid at his feet, without adding, and my other sister wife's feet, because The only times in the past on this show that he takes responsibility, actually, I don't remember any time he's taken responsibility. I heard Robin take responsibility once, and it was in conjunction with everybody else. Like, we are to blame, she said once, and I was like, whoa, that's great. We're making progress, because usually it's always everybody else's fault. But Kody does this quote. I think Kody's using stoic incorrectly here. So I looked up online. There is a website called the Daily Stoic that has information, and they send out emails every day. And it's all about philosophy and stoicism and philosophers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I put in blame with it, because Kody is trying to say, I blame myself, but I want to become stoic, where there's no blame at all to anybody. I want to get to that point. This is what it says. The Marcus Aurelius rule was blame yourself or blame no one. It's the other side of the idea we're talking about not long ago, that the only place to look for approval is within yourself. The same goes for disapproval and fault finding. As soon as you try to get it from other people, you've compromised your integrity. You've handed over your power. So either don't blame anyone or blame yourself. I just wanted to be clear out there with that, because Kody's words were all over the place again.
Blame me.
So in the end of that answer, Kody says, I thought we were doing so much benefit for plural marriage, but we may have done more harm. And the interviewer asks, in what way? And he said, well, I don't want to go into spoilers because I have a job to do. He just loves himself.
I love talking about myself.
He just loves himself. Let's point out again. Hey, and it's on TLC. Sunday nights. Check your local listing. So to try to explain how it may have done more harm than good, he tells a story. His sister told him, Kody, the problem with your show is you make it look easy, and it's not. And he says, well, it doesn't look easy now, does it? I don't know. I don't know that they made it look easy. When you watch any reality TV and a lot of the marriages on there, and you watch social media, you watch YouTube, you watch television shows, I mean, doesn't everybody's marriage look better on the outside? Doesn't your neighbor's marriage look better on the outside? You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And Kody and the Browns were very good at hiding the things they wanted to hide. Not anymore. They're happy to air the dirty laundry. But early on, they were hiding most of it. And I think that's how most shows were. I didn't for a second think that everything was roses on the show, because in the interviews, the wives were very honest about their feelings. In person, they weren't. So I don't know if I agree with his sister, but the reality is anybody who's ever been in a marriage knows that it takes work and it's not always easy. And if you add 2, 3, 4 wives in that same marriage, obviously it's going to be difficult, I think. This is a response that Kody gives often in other interviews, and he brings it up a couple times in this interview too, about how, like, it's so difficult to be a polygamist. Like, I mean, it may look easy, but it's so difficult. Like, poor me, my life, I'm doing the work. This is so difficult to do. It's a calling. If you're not called, don't do it. This is really difficult. You know what? Marriage is difficult, Kody.
This is so difficult.
And if you didn't think taking on 3, 4 wives was going to be difficult, then, you know, I'm sorry. That's on you. Okay, so I'm just going to play this next clip so that you can look at it and you can see Kody beam and light up when the guy gives him a little bit of compliments about how long his show has been on the air. But I'm going to play this one through so that you can actually see Kody's face on this one, and then I'll discuss.
You've been on for 18 seasons. RFM pointed out 14 years. That's a long time. It's a long spot of life to be on TV and to do a show. I mean, it's longer lasting than 99% of the TV shows that have ever aired on television, right?
How long was MASH on television? It was my favorite show.
I have no idea.
I think it was less than yours.
Yeah,
I think it was
10
maybe
years.
10, 11 possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a long time, but there's just this thing, that this factor that is in it, is we were in a very dramatic family. I'm a very dramatic person. I have other dramatic family members, had other dramatic family members. And I think that it just, sometimes it was interesting and sometimes it wasn't. And then we had people who just tuned in because they thought it was fun to watch. And I just had a contractor at my house talking about doing some repair work on my electricity that has been gotten funny. And he watches the show. And I'm like, oh gosh. He says, I know you though, so I'm not holding any grudges. But on the other hand, I had one of my close friends text me. She was a close friend that I worked with when we lived in Utah, and she texted me and she sends me a book. And at the bottom of the book, she says, get your shit together. So can I say that word on this show?
You say anything you want.
Oh, I can. Well, I'll be careful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
and I'm like, I have to text back to her like very patiently to say, you're seeing a portion, a teeny segment of my life, and you're usually seeing the most dramatic points. I made the mistake once when my family was going through a partial breakup of yelling at, or not yelling, but I was saying to my wife, well, I'm bringing back patriarchy. I'm going to be in charge and you guys are going to do what I say. And I have a sister who's LDS, and it was the one scene in all 13 years of me being public, one scene that she saw. And at Christmas time we were visiting and she was chastising me for saying that. And I had to stand up and pace the room so I wouldn't lose it. That she had been not loyal enough to ever check into the show, but then she chastises me for the one worst day of my life. And that's kind of one of the hard things about it is people are going to see you and judge you in many cases by the worst day of your life. And if it keeps people sober about plural marriage and polygamy, good. Because I do not want this to look easy, because it's not. And people who have very, very powerfully convicted faith are the only people who should do this. And I'm telling you, the end result of where we're at now with this struggle in plural marriage is the real reality of the struggle in plural marriage. And we weren't strong enough to manage it.
All right, so the beginning of this interview, I just had to put that video on to show you, because as soon as the guy says, wow, that's a lot more than most shows, and then right away Kody's like, yeah, MASH. How long was MASH on? He knew exactly. That's what I just loved about it. He knew exactly the answer. But he had to ask the question, too, to point out the fact that they've been on for 13 years, or however many years it was, 13, 14 years. And the long-running show MASH was only on for 10 years. That being said, it cost millions and millions of dollars to produce a show like MASH. And TLC has got to be the smallest budget on earth. My gosh, in the past few years, it's been mostly their cell phones that has been recording, and then these interviews, and then most of it's been flashbacks just cut together. So yeah, your show's been on for a long time, but the content, we could whittle it down to about 2.5 years worth of actually exciting stuff. But we do rehash and re-talk about and replay everything that's been happening. Again, boring as all get out, yet I still watch. Kody points out that it frustrates him that people only see a portion of their lives. Now, this contradicts the beginning of the interview where he's like, I need people in my house all the time with cameras. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Now he's saying you're only seeing a portion of everything that's going on. But let me just say, it is true that editing can tell its own story. But editing cannot make up the words that you say or the actions that you do. He talks about his sister and how he got together with her and how upset he was that after 13 years of the show, there was only one clip that she saw and she reeled him about it. And that really bothered him. But to the point that he said he had to stand up and pace the room so that he wouldn't lose it. So this must be recent, because this angry Kody has been around for just like the past couple of years. It's been like a COVID angry Kody. Ever since 2020, he's gotten angrier and angrier and angrier. But I felt bad for his sister because he's chastising her on this platform, which, thousands of people are going to see. And he claimed she never saw any of the show. He did make it, I don't know if I have the clip in there, but he does refer to this conversation with her and say that she wasn't loyal to the show to watch it. I don't know if I recorded that, but that loyalty comes out again. And he claims his sister's not loyal because she didn't watch everything. And she just saw this one clip. Again, loyalty used incorrectly. She's wrong in her opinion because she wasn't loyal to him because she didn't see the whole thing. That loyal. We just use loyal. Let's just use loyal for everything.
Loyal!
So he says that she wasn't loyal to him because she didn't watch it all, but she was upset by the scene that she had seen, and she was laying into him about it. He got really upset with her about it. Those were your words, Kody. Those were your words. I mean, he goes on to say, it was at a bad time. They caught him off guard. And then he does say that people are going to judge you based on the worst day of your life, implying that was the worst day of his life. So let's say she watched the whole thing. She's still going to go in on you for talking about the patriarchy and how you're now in charge of the whole family and everyone's going to succumb to you, whether she watched the 13 seasons or not, because we all watched all the 13 seasons and we were all disgusted at that moment that you said that. So lay off your sister, Kody. He goes on to say, again, that it looks easy, but it's not. Kody, it doesn't look easy. Doesn't look easy. Nobody said marriage was easy. No one said marriage to 4 women at the same time was easy. So stop saying, I know it looks easy, but it's not. Okay? Nobody thinks polygamy is going to be an easy thing.
Why is this so hard?
He does indicate that the only people who should do polygamy are people who are powerfully connected in their faith. Those should be the only ones that do it. So I guess this is his admission that he's not powerfully connected in his faith because his failed 3 times. And I'm going to end it with just this because, this has kind of not been that fun of a Q&A portion. I felt like the last one was a little bit more lighthearted. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not in a good mood right now. He's bugging me. But anyway, he says, the end result of the struggle of where we are in plural marriage is the real reality of the struggle in plural marriage.
You're repeating yourself.
What?
End scene. Thank you, Kody, for those words of wisdom. I can't. Let's just say the same words over and over again and pretend like we are Socrates. All right, that's the end. Please like, please subscribe. On Monday, I should be hopefully coming out with a video on the next episode of Sister Wives, and as time permits, I'll go and find any interesting questions and answers that are in this podcast and share them with you as well. Okay, that's it. Please like and subscribe. And if this is too long or if you're not interested in these, just let me know below. If you want me to continue with them, like them, and then I'll know, and then I'll dig up some more little nuggets and share them with you. But throw me a bone. It costs you nothing. It's just a click. Like, subscribe. That's it. And then hit the little dingy bell, and then that'll tell you anytime I upload one of these random ones, or when I upload one of the ones about the Sister Wives in general, the episodes that are on. Okay, that's all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.